Before the playoffs began, there was an enormous amount of discussion surrounding Nikola Jokic and how he would fare in the postseason. A lot of comments were thrown around about him being targeted on the defensive side of the court and that his offense might not hold up. This reminded me of those who doubted Jokic after his first season of promise in the NBA. People in denial who hadn't watched Nikola play enough to make a real assessment. Well, the first round of the playoffs is done, and we are in the midst of the second round, and Jokic has stepped up in almost every single game of the playoffs, showing the entire world that he is one of the best players in the league and will deliver on the biggest stage. And this is something I predicted all the way back in June, when I did a video pronouncing him as one of the most underrated players in the league and a top 5 MVP candidate. But this video will examine what makes Jokic such a special player and just how he is managing to thrive in the heightened games of playoff basketball. Jokic may be known primarily for his dazzling passes, but the big fella is capable of putting up huge scoring numbers when the game calls for it and he turns his mind to it. And this is why I never doubted that he would be a big time playoff player. Jokic has all the moves and all the skills to score at an insanely efficient clip and keep NBA defenses on their toes. And let's take a moment to break down exactly how he does this. One of the Nuggets and Jokic's pet plays is the dribble handoff. Nikola will catch the ball on the wing or at the top of the key and then hand the ball to his guard as he simultaneously sets a screen. This creates a huge amount of separation for the guards, and Jamal Murray and Gary Harris have become phenomenal at leveraging this space for a floater, layup or open jumper. But it is also a great opportunity for Jokic to roll to the rim and catch the ball in that 6 to 10 feet area in the paint. As the defense scrambles to recover and guard the ball handler, there is almost always a seam to find Jokic in this position. And once he gets the ball, Nikola has the softest touch around the rim. He can finish with the floater, take a dribble and get to the rim, or even go into a mini post-up if the defender recovers. If teams attempt to double this, Jokic will of course hit the pass, and so it leaves him with an in percentage situation no matter what the defense does. The Nuggets also place him in traditional pick and rolls where they run the same style of plays. And while this gives up the effectiveness of the dribble handoff, it adds in the possibility for Jokic to fade to the 3-point line as well as roll to the rim. Jokic can fade after a dribble handoff, but it is far easier for the big to stay with him than in a normal pick and roll. Fading to the 3-point line adds another wrinkle into the defense. They have to cover for the ball handler and the potential of Jokic rolling or popping to the 3-point line. The only defensive strategy that stops this effectively is switching. Any form of hedging or normal coverage has to give up some kind of open look. And Nikola is a master at reading a defense and making the correct roll or fade or pass. When he does fade, he can hit the 3 at a very high clip. Last season he hit them at 40%, and while this has dipped to 30% in the regular season this year, it is back up to 37% in the playoffs so far. The percentages don't matter as much as the threat of the shot though. When Jokic catches the ball on the 3-point line, he'll have a big guy scrambling out to cover the shot. An up fake and a dribble later and he is past them, ready to attack the paint and the unsuspecting defense with his incredible touch and decision making. This new breed of big man is part of what has led to an increase in switching in defenses in the NBA. It limits the 3-point looks and advantages gained from the pick and roll. But while this switching is good against wing players and some big like Al Horford and Serge Ibaka, it is a bit harder against the size of Jokic. When a guard or wing switches onto him, he'll quickly look to go into the post where he can abuse smaller players with his huge frame. And he won't just post up against mismatches. He has the confidence to attack any big man in the NBA. Jokic has a fantastic post game and loves to start by backing down with his enormous frame. This throws defenders onto the back step, and Jokic is the king of cashing in on their missed position. Because he can turn over both shoulders, he can spin either way, and once he feels weakness on one side, he goes. This creates separation in a way you would not think is possible for a guy as slow and doughy as Jokic. But the most beautiful thing about Jokic in the post is his ability to finish almost any shot. Hooks, floaters, up and unders, and one-legged fadeaway shots, he has them all. There are so many times I have seen Jokic shoot, thinking to myself that it simply can't go in, only for it to fall like rain through the net. And this really is the differentiator for Jokic. He's one of the most skilled players in the entire league and can do things that no one else can do. We haven't even discussed his passing. Nikola Jokic has amassed a big collection of nicknames with his unique playstyle, frame and amazing passing skills. But none capture how his passing makes you feel like the Joker. Some of Jokic's passes just have you in your chair laughing, almost unable to believe how someone that big can wrap bullet passes behind his back and throw touchdown passes in transition. But it's also the simple passes that Jokic executes so well and so consistently that makes him such a dangerous and consistent player. As mentioned, his favourite play is perhaps the dribble handoff. But what I didn't mention was all the different ways which Jokic uses this play. For a lot of big guys, the dribble handoff is a run-of-the-mill one-option read. They put the ball out, set the screen and hand it off. Not for Jokic. When Jokic runs his play for Jamal Murray or Gary Harris, he is the one in control, the one making the decisions. Often he won't give the ball up on the initial screen and the guard will loop back for a second screen to get the handoff off the side that Jokic started. Or they might dive to the rim after coming off the screen only to receive a backdoor pass. These throw further wrinkles into the offense that make it difficult for the defense to cover in the same way that a big being able to pick and pop and pick and roll does. The Nuggets also love giving Jokic post-ups at the free throw line area. This allows him to have passing angles to the entire court. He can hit the corners, throw the ball baseline, and basically find anyone open, either cutting or ready to shoot. Denver is fantastic at putting 4 shooters out to surround him, or having Plumlee in the slot when they share the court together. This essentially puts Jokic in a one-on-one scenario and the defense in a nightmare. If you help, he'll find a pass, and if you don't, you're allowing a giant human being with the softest touch to go one-on-one off of the dribble or in the post. And as mentioned, Jokic doesn't miss much. All these wrinkles that Jokic creates adds doubt to the defender's mind, and doubt and uncertainty is perhaps the best way to create good offense. The great defenders know the exact tendencies of their opponents, how often they go right, how often they fade or drive from certain spots. This allows them to better predict their movement and stay in front of them. Think of players that are great 3-point shooters only, guys like PJ Tucker. They are very easy to guard if you just dedicate one guy to staying glued to him, at least compared to other wings like Durant, Paul George, LeBron or Kawhi. Jokic passing helps make him the opposite of this. It's another layer to his incredible game that makes him tougher to guard and to predict. He has so many options every time he catches the ball or sets a screen, and yet somehow people doubted his capacity to play in a playoff scenario. To put it simply, the doubters were wrong. Even by just taking a quick look at the numbers, you can see Jokic's immense domination. Over his first 8 playoff games, he has averaged 25 points, 11.8 rebounds, and 8.8 assists, all while shooting 50% from the field, 30% from deep, and 91% from the line. And this is with a pretty average first game for his standards. If you take that out, his numbers jump to 27 points, 11.4 rebounds, and 8 assists, while shooting 50% from the field, 40% from deep, and 90.5% from the free throw line. These stat lines are absurd. It's otherworldly, and the jump in efficiency is the opposite of what is meant to happen in the playoffs. Instead of getting worse, Jokic got better. And to be honest, it makes sense. That playoffs actually suit Jokic a whole lot more. The defense will be able to hone in on him over the course of a 7-game series, but I don't think it is even possible to come up with a defense that completely shuts Jokic down. You can make things tougher for him, but you can't take everything away. Damian Lillard came out after Game 1 and said that they tried to stack the side of the court on his left shoulder to try and stop him from getting to his dominant right hand. But in Game 1, Jokic got to his right hand time and time again, and even if he went to his left hand, it's almost just as good. So your options really come down to doubling or just praying he misses one-on-one. And both of these are bad against Jokic. A defense I wouldn't have mind trying against him would be to play 2 bigs, one on Millsap and one on Jokic. You would then have the big on Millsap play a sort of free safety role, half getting ready to help and half getting ready to intercept a pass, and have the remaining 3 defenders cover the 4 shooters in a semi-zone. It would mitigate Jokic's presence and passing and force other players to make plays and shots against you. But to be able to truly throw him, I think you have to change up the defense constantly. Put smaller guys on him on some possessions, bigger ones on others, double at different times, and change where the help comes from. You simply can't let him settle against one type of defense, as he is just too good. But the best thing about the playoffs is you play up to 7 games. While this means defenses can adjust to Jokic, it also means he can adjust to them. He'll be able to figure out almost any defense with his skill and IQ, and we saw this against the San Antonio Spurs, and is part of why he is so effective in the postseason offensively. Jokic has always been weaker defensively than his immense talent on the offensive end. But this has been overblown over the last 2 years, as he stepped up and into a scheme that benefited his playing style. And the slow pace of the playoffs looks to be suiting Jokic. Usually there'll be one bigger guy on the floor that is less of an offensive threat. Denver can throw Jokic on him and have him play a free safety sort of role where he helps out at the rim or gets into passing lanes. Or he can just be put on that big man, such as on Cantor or Aldridge and Portal on the previous round. Against these guys, he likes to drop back in the pick and roll and entice mid-range jumpers or bad drives at the rim. I think people look at Jokic and assume he must be a bad defender, but it just isn't true, and he utilises his huge frame and giant brain to be in the right position as much as possible, and it's effective. Teams shoot below league average at the rim against him, and due to him never jumping for blocks, they are one of the better rebounding teams in the league. They minimise the number of possessions and the quality of looks in the one scheme, a scheme centred predominantly around Jokic. The rest of the playoffs will be incredibly tight. The Nuggets are locked in a battle with the Blazers, and the score's currently tied at 1-1 at the publishing of this video. Jokic was contained a lot better in the second game, but you can expect the big man to bounce back and put up a huge fight for the rest of the series and the playoffs as Jokic looks to lead his team to the NBA Finals. And going forward, the Nuggets have him for another 4 years on his current deal. They are relatively locked into their current team due to their cap structure, but will have the opportunity to trade pieces this offseason or wait until the 2020 free agency to try and put an all-star caliber player next to him, because that is realistically the only thing missing from this squad. They have the shooters and defenders, but outside of Jokic, no one can create for themselves at a high level. But luckily for Denver fans, Nikola Jokic does it at such a high level, he almost makes up for it all by himself. Thanks for watching guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below what you think of Jokic, the playoffs, and the Denver Nuggets.